Hello, and welcome to On the Trail, the Hamilton Spectator's provincial election podcast. My name is Emma Reilly, and I'm the Specs election editor, and I am here with...
Matthew Van Dongen, the City Hall reporter.
And also provincial election reporter. You're going to wear two hats.
At least.
All right, so this is going to be a podcast during the campaign where you can check in, see what's happening on the local scene. We'll have some interesting conversations, some behind the scenes style stuff. It'll be fairly casual, but I encourage you to check in and see what we're talking about because it will be different from what's in the paper. And if you'd like to reach me during the campaign, feel free to shoot me an email at Reilly, that's Reilly, at thespec.com, or give me a call at 905-526-2452. We'll want to have lots of interaction with readers and listeners throughout the campaign, so I'm hoping that we can start a real conversation here with you in terms of what you'd like to see. So, Matthew, let's talk election. So much to talk about. We don't even know where to start.
That's right. Well, for me as a City Hall reporter, I am just loving watching the race. My favorite race probably will be Flamborough-Glenbrook because we have two very strong city councillors facing off against each other.
And they are?
And that is Donna Skelly, who is the current Ward 7 councillor and past PC candidate as well. Mm-hmm. And she's running for the PCs again this time around. And then you have Judy Partridge, who is a very popular Flamborough councillor and who has decided to run under the Liberal banner this time around, but she also calls herself a blue Liberal, so she could have just as easily run as a Conservative, which is fascinating in itself.
Now, do they get along around the council table?
Yeah, you can sort of see that the campaign for them started a while back. They'll often speak on issues in opposition one after another, and you can sort of see that tension building. So it's sort of enjoyable to watch that provincial politics trickle down to the local level already.
Interesting. And they're both kind of powerhouse women, too, in their own right. So it'll be interesting to watch that race. Do you expect it to get fiery at some point?
I'm hoping so. Now, yeah, and you'll know better than me because you're checking on these things. But do they have an NDP candidate to run against them yet?
As far as I can tell, no. I called the NDP this morning to check in again, and they haven't gotten back to me. So I'm assuming that means that they don't have an answer for me. And speaking of vacancies, I think it's worth pointing out right now that the Liberals have also had trouble filling their seats, or filling their nominations rather, in Hamilton recently. So you have the Hamilton East Stony Creek candidate who was nominated just over the weekend. Jennifer Stebbing is her name. She's run a couple times, but she doesn't actually live in the riding. She lives in rural Burlington, the last that I can see. And so she's kind of been parachuted in to run against Paul Miller. And then Wednesday night, the day that the rip drops, Damon Starr, who is a local entrepreneur, is going to be running, or nominated rather, in Hamilton Mountain. So this is a really late nomination in both of these ridings. It just means that they're less equipped to kind of hit the ground running during the campaign. And campaigns require a lot of logistical planning and foresight and, the ability to get yourself organized so that when stuff does come up during the campaign, you can master it and respond to it. And if you're busy trying to find a campaign office or trying to sort of get party literature or even signs made up, like that stuff is bureaucratic and it takes up a lot of time. And it just means that there'll be kind of that little bit more behind candidates like Donna Skelly and Judy, who you mentioned have been at this sort of for months and will be able to sort of get out the gates Wednesday with no problems, ready to go and ready to duke it out.
Yeah. What do you think your favorite race is lining up so far?
I have my eye on the new riding in West Hamilton called Hamilton West Ancaster Dundas. And this is a brand new riding. The riding boundaries were redrawn in 2015. And so this kind of throws everything into flux. The former riding, which was Hamilton Ancaster Glenbrook, I believe. The names are always so confusing. Was held by Ted McMeekin, is held by Ted McMeekin. But the riding boundaries are slightly different because it encompasses now part of Hamilton Centre, which is NDP territory, Andrea Horwath's riding, and it also excludes the really conservative end of the riding in Flamborough. So it's kind of now this new area that could potentially lean a little bit more left. Ted is running again. Ted McMeekin is running again in this riding, and he is popular. Everybody loves Ted. Mm-hmm. But Sandy Shaw, his challenger on the NDP side, also well-known, confident, talk about a sort of powerhouse woman, is, already got herself organized. Andrea Horwath swung by last week. And that, to me, was a real indication that the NDP have their eyes on this riding. I think it could be really interesting. I think if anybody could give Ted a run for his money, it's Sandy Shaw.
And now the young Conservative candidate has had his name in the news a lot, which could be good or bad, depending on the kind of news that's been associated with it. But
the other thing is Ben Levitt. He is the PC candidate that Matt was just mentioning. He's very young. Not that that matters, but he's, 26, and there's, obviously not a lot of world experience or political experience there when you're going up against two people like Ted McMeekin and Sandy Shaw, both of whom have a whole wealth of political and professional experience under their belt. So that'll be kind of an interesting one as well. That, for me, is kind of the one that I'm ready to watch. Do you foresee any other sort of major battles or upsets in any of the other ridings, Matt?
Those are the big ones that I've been kind of keeping my eye on.
I agree.
We can explore some of the other ridings maybe in an upcoming podcast.
In a future podcast, just to tantalize you, listeners. So again, we'd love to hear from you. Let us know what you'd like to hear on the podcast. We have some interviews lined up with some folks within Hamilton that I think you'll be interested in. Hopefully we'll also be bringing you a little bit of audio from the campaign, little bits and bites, and just sort of interesting political stuff, if that's your jam, as it is ours. So thanks for listening. Tune in again. This has been On the Trail.